We have paper 3, October 2024. First question says, in 2025, the government of Zimbabwe proposed the privatization of the 36 nationalized water suppliers. Which one of the following is a potential benefit of this privatization? When we talk about privatization, it simply means there is the transfer of ownership from the private sector to the public sector, right? That's privatization. Hmm? Privatization.
It's it's when government-owned companies become private firms.
Yeah. So the transfer of public-owned assets, public-owned businesses, public-owned companies
Mhm.
to the hands of the private sector. That is privatization.
Mhm.
So the question is saying, which one of the following is the potential benefit of this privatization? The first one here, they said increased efficiency resulting from profit motive. Well, that is the answer anyway. It's A. Because privatization, when there's the private sector is about profit maximization. And because of profit maximization, there's it simply means the motive behind setting up as an individual or as an entrepreneur is to make profit. So it's always going to be efficient because you can't make profit without being efficient, and efficiency will bring about a reduced cost. So the answer for question one is A, but let's look at other options. B, increased government control from state ownership. Why is it not government control from state ownership? That is nationalization. Increased provision of public goods. That's also national. That's public spending. That's public sector business. Increased job security for employees. Why will privatization not bring about job security?
Because privatization or private companies have the incentive of or like they have the characteristic to be efficient.
Okay.
So they have a profit motive, and so they would cut costs at all. They'd cut costs of whatever brings about inefficiencies. So this would likely mean that they would reduce their size in terms of employees.
Well, you're partly right, but for me, I would prefer you say it this way. When they talk about increased job security for employees, privatization would not bring about increased job security for employees because the private sector would want to, yeah, they would want to reduce the numbers of workers, but reducing the numbers of workers will not just come, it will come through rationalization. They would rather keep those that they deem fit to be what they have the skills and expertise that they require. So those who don't have that skills that their their work needs are likely to leave. That is why they're going to reduce numbers of workers. Do you get the point I'm making here? They're not just going to reduce the numbers of workers. They won't lay off workers that add value to the organization. They will rather, because it's the public sector. So the public sector, we know already the public sector. It could be based on who knows who, like what's it called? Nepotism. You could get the job because you have an uncle or a cousin in that works with government that is in government of the day. So you might be getting government appointment or government job based on that fact. So it's not that you are skilled or you have that qualification to get the job. But when privatization takes place, those who are unskilled will be surplus to requirements. So there's likelihood to be job loss rather than job gain. So the answer for question one is A. Question one is A. We move on to question two. For question two, they said the shareholders of a car manufacturer who owns the company are separate from its management team. That makes the operational decision, sorry. Assume that this manufacturer has a satisfying objective. Which one of the following best describe this objective? When it comes to profit satisfying, what does that mean? Profit satisfying.
So the making optimum profit basically.
Yeah, making the profit that is in line with that suits your lifestyle, that you are happy with. That is profit satisfying. So here they said, which one of the following best describe this decision? Maximizing profit and reducing cost. If you are maximizing profit and reducing cost, that is profit maximization objective. So it's not A. B, achieving an acceptable level of profit and sales. That is the answer. So for profit satisficing, it simply means you just want to make profit that is good enough, that makes you happy, and that is profit satisficing. So the answer is B. But let's look at C, minimizing dividends to shareholders. Shareholders would always want to maximize their dividends, which simply means profit maximization. That without profit maximization, you cannot maximize dividends for shareholders. So C is not right. And D, maximizing total revenue and total cost. Maximizing total revenue and total cost, that would not no firm would want to maximize cost, because maximizing cost means you're not going to be able to make profits. So the answer for question 2 is B. Go to question 3. For question 3, they said a hairdressing business in Sri Lanka is operating in a monopolistically competitive market. Which one of the following combinations would apply to such a business in long-run equilibrium? What is a monopolistic competitive market?
A monopolistic competitive market. It's a um, um, a monopolistic competitive markets.
Let's say it is monopolistically competitive. What does it mean?
It means that it's a market structure where there's perfect competition, but
why do we call it monopolistically competitive market? Why is it called monopolistically competitive market? Yeah, there's competition there, but why is it monopolistically competitive? If you cannot define it for me, I won't give you the answer, this mark. It's a monopolistically competitive market.
Okay, I remember. It's because it combines like both monopoly and perfect competition.
How?
In many ways, like there's many buyers and sellers.
Okay.
There's product differentiation. There's low barriers of entry and exit. There's non-price competition.
Yeah, it's a monopolistically market because yeah, they are likely to do the same thing. They are likely to do the same thing, but in a different way. Like the restaurant is a monopolistically market, hairdressing is also a monopolistic market. So you can find differences in what their content is. That makes it a monopolistically market. So here they said, which one of the following combination would apply to such a business? In the long run, normal profit will be normal, allocative efficiency, no. Why do you think in a monopolistic market there's no allocative efficiency? Because the answer is, you said it's A. So why do you think in a monopolistic market there's no allocative efficiency?
Because since firms have some market power, they set a price higher than their marginal cost.
Okay.
So the value consumers place on the last unit is it's greater than the cost of producing it.
What is allocative efficiency?
Allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency is it's like the correct, it's like when like resources they're distributed in such a way that maximizes their welfare. Like
Is allocative efficiency if goods and services are delivered at the right quantity to the right consumers who need them. That is allocative
so P
efficiency.
is equal to MC.
Okay. So Why do you think in a monopolistic competition there is no allocative efficiency?
because firms set a higher like price higher than their marginal cost.
Okay. Okay. They said a flexible labor market. So the answer for question three is A anyway. But I'm going to look at other options here. Okay, no, they said supernormal, yeah, in a monopolistic competition, based on the fact that they still sell products that can be that they are not close substitute, but they can be used for against each other. As a result of that, they cannot make supernormal profit. So they rather make normal profit in the long run. And there's allocative inefficiency in a monopolistic competition. They cannot make supernormal profit. They only make supernormal profit in the short run because that is the only time they can as well sell to customers. But in the long run, customers would find other alternative, and that makes them to make supernormal profit. And that makes them to make normal profit. Also, supernormal profit will attract more firms into the market. And if more firms are coming to the market, the supply increases in the market and price level would fall. So that makes them to make normal profit in the long run. So I have question 4. What they are down to stop, then I will continue. So for question 4, they said in January 2021, the UK government appointed a new regulator to ensure that new houses are built from safe materials. Which one of the following would limit the impact of this government intervention in the housing markets? So when we talk about intervention, what does that mean?
Government intervention.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's when the government makes government intervenes to correct market failure.
I don't want that word intervenes anymore.
Government makes policies to correct market failure.
Government involvement
Yeah, government involvement to make
to correct market failure through policies.
Yeah.
So that is what government intervention is. So they said, which one of the following which one of the following would limit the impact of this government intervention? The first option is perfect mobility of resources. What does perfect mobility of resources means? Perfect mobility of resources.
Perfect mobility of resources.
Yeah.
So when we
Perfect mobility of resources.
it's like there's absolute ease with factors of production.
So there's perfect mobility of resources when the factors of production are flexible. That is fire. That is perfect mobility of resources. If there's perfect mobility of resources, it would rather help the success of government intervention, not an hindrance to government intervention. So perfect mobility of resources would help government intervention. It is not a hindrance to government intervention. So it's not A. B, a flexible labor market. Since we are talking about perfect mobility of resources, labor is part of it. So a flexible labor market would also help government intervention, not hindrance. C, perfect knowledge of the housing market. If government has a perfect knowledge of the housing market, it would allow government to make informed decision, and there won't be market failure, and there won't even be any reason for intervention. Also, perfect knowledge of the housing market means government intervention whatever government intervention is, it will also help it, not a hindrance. But regulatory capture. So regulatory capture is a hindrance to government intervention. And what is regulatory capture?
Regulatory capture is it's basically like government failure, which
No, you don't just call it government failure. I'm asking what regulatory capture is.
it's when a regulatory agency,
Yeah,
which is meant to
to protect
act in the public
interest.
instead advances the commercial or political concerns of special interest groups that dominate the industry.
All right, thank you. For regulatory capture, it simply means those regulators that are appointed, for public interest are commercialized their position by acting in favor of those who are supposed to be checked and balanced. That is regulatory capture. And if there's a regulatory capturing simply means it's an hindrance to government intervention. So it will hinder government intervention. So the answer for question 4 is D. So go to question 5. For question 5, it's a calculation. They said, for question 5, it's a calculation. They said, the table shows, I'm going to flip it. They said, the table shows a manufacturer's total cost at different level of output. We have the output and we have the total cost. They said which one of the following is the average variable cost for an output of 2,000 units? So we need variable cost here. So to get variable cost is so before then we have the total cost. TC is FC plus VC. This is total cost. So here, based on what we have here, we have our total cost. For zero output, it's 500. So remember, fixed cost is the cost that does not change as output changes. So if the total cost at zero output is 500, it means FC is 500. That is the point there. So the question is about 2,000 units. For 2,000 units, we have 38,500 as total cost. So we have to take away, we said TC is FC plus VC. So it simply means FC is 500. So TC is 500 plus 38,000. That is how we got the 38,500 because 500 is about fixed cost. So the variable cost here, VC, is 38,000 because we said FC plus VC is TC. Then if our TC is 38,500, it simply means 38,500 minus 500 gives us our VC. So this is our VC. So the VC is 38,000. So we need to find AVC. AVC is VC divided by output. So here our VC is 38,000 divided by output, which is 2,000. Output is 2,000. 1,000 that's cancelled 1,000. 2 here, 1, here 19. So our VC is 19, which is A. So for question 5, it is A. Question 5, it's A. So for question 5, it's A. We need to capture. Let's see. Question 5, it's A, okay? So go to question 6. For question 6, they said it's a diagram for question 6. They said for question 6, the diagram shows the average revenue and marginal revenue cost for a cafe in China selling cups of coffee. They said it currently sells 1,000 cups of coffee at 40 yuan per cup. Ceteris paribus, which is all things being equal, which one of the following would happen if the cafe increased its selling price by 15%? Now, they said if the cafe increases its selling price by 15%, your answer is total revenue would fall, right? Why would the total revenue fall? Why would the total revenue fall?
Wait, can I see the question again?
Why would the total revenue fall?
The total revenue would fall because it's operating at a point where the AR is greater than the MR.
It's operating where AR is greater than MR. Now, if AR is
Wait,
MR and AR, if average revenue is increasing, marginal revenue would increase.
no,
That's not the reason.
wait. Because it's increased its price. That's why. By 15%.
So
Which means that there's less demand for its goods and for the Chinese cups.
something is missing. A cafe shop, a coffee shop,
Okay,
a cafe.
the cost.
Now, a cafe.
Mhm.
Is it a perfect competition or imperfect competition? A cafe.
The cafe, or I think perfect. Is it?
A cafe, asking you. Or will you consider it to be a monopolistically competitive
Yeah,
market?
it's a monopolistically competitive market.
Okay, so the demand curve facing such market structure is what? Is it upward sloping or downward slope?
Mm, so-
I'm not convinced. Okay, now this is it. A demand curve is always downward slope. That is a fact.
mm,
A demand curve is always downward slope. And for the fact that a demand curve is downward slope, it simply means firms would not have any other choice to always reduce their price to even to increase their revenue. So here they said it currently sells 1,000 cups of coffee at 40 yen per cup. It has increased the price by 15%. Because the demand curve facing all firms are downward slope. It simply means consumers will only buy when the price is right. And based on the law of demand, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. That is inverse relationship. So demand would be price. Yeah, there's question here on how you got your answer. I'll come back there. You just guessed because total revenue would fall because demand is the price is increasing. No, you need to convince me about your answers too. So now I'm going to go through the options. Demand would become less price elastic. Demand will be more price elastic because the demand curve is always downward slope. So a rise in price makes the PED to be elastic. A rise in price would reduce the quantity demanded, which simply means price would rather be elastic than less elastic. So it's not A. For B, the price elasticity of demand would be constant. It can't be constant because price has increased. And because price has increased, the quantity demanded would fall because it is elastic. It is not B. And C, total revenue would fall. Now let's go back to price elasticity of demand and total revenue. PED and TR has relationship. So if the PED is inelastic, it means the total revenue would what?
the P is elastic.
Inelastic.
Inelastic,
The total revenue would rise.
rise.
So if PED is inelastic, the total revenue would increase. If PED is unitary, the total revenue remains the
The
same.
same. If it's elastic,
If it is elastic, the total revenue would
decrease.
It means if PED is elastic, the total revenue will shift to the other side.
Yeah.
So that's why the total revenue would fall. So a rise in price for a product that the PED is elastic will bring about a fall in total revenue because total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold. So if the price is increasing, the quantity sold would reduce. And that's why the total revenue would fall. So the answer for question 6 is C. It is not D because if it was D, it simply means the PED is price inelastic. So an inelastic demand will bring about a rise in total revenue. So the answer for question 6 is C. But I'm not going to give you the mark because you didn't convince me. So for question 6, it's C. So go to question 7. For question 7, so for question 7, I have to go to the extract. Question 7. So figure 1. Figure 1, question 7. So figure 1, oh, it's Nigeria, my country. Okay. They said the Nigerian economy, average price of diesel and petrol, Nigeria Naira, July 2023 to 2024. So we have Nigeria today. So, so it's about Nigerian economy, about the normal stories which we always know about. Hike in price of petrol and diesel, which we are importing, which we are a sole provider, still buy at a higher price. Poor governance. So let's look at this anyway. They said average price of diesel and petrol in Nigeria is this between July 2023 to June 2024. So So it will never come down. It always increase. That is Nigeria for us. So the price continued to increase from 794 to 1,462. And right now, I think it's around maybe 1,500. I don't know. So this is the price for petrol. This is the price for petrol, and this is the price for diesel. So the question says, let me flip back. So the question says, with reference to figure 1, which we just checked, calculate the percentage change in average diesel price between July 2023 and June 2024. So we need to calculate the average price, average change in price. So to do that, we need the old price and the new price. So you can have this. You have this too. Okay. So we have to calculate for the change in price. So for the change in price for diesel, so we have, for diesel, we have 1,462. This is the new price. This is the old price. It's going to be new price minus old price divided by old price. So 1,462 minus 794 over 794 multiplied by 100. So to calculate that, we need a calculator. Let's see. We have a calculator here. So we have 1,462 minus 794. That's 6,668. So we have 668. Sorry, let's see. 668 divided by 794 multiplied by 668 divided by 794 multiplied by 100. So that's 84.13. So the percentage change in the price of diesel is 84.13. So it's 84.13%. So that's how to calculate change. The new minus old divided by old multiplied by 100. So that's about that. Move on. So go back to question 7B. So I think you got that right. Okay, 84.1 here, yeah. So question 1B, 7B, they said, with reference to extract 8, so there's a merger in the banking sector in Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria approved the merger between Unity Bank and Providence Bank. Unity Bank is one of the largest banks in Nigeria with 220 branches across the country. Providence Bank is much smaller. Both Unity Bank and Providence Bank are new generation bank anyway. So the merger between the two banks was approved to avoid the collapse of the Unity Bank that had total debt of 303.7 billion naira. Unity Bank has a large network of branches in northern Nigeria and is well established in this region. So its stronghold is in the north. So it also has a good reputation with its customers. This merger will allow Providence Bank to access these customers. Providence Bank is a small, financially stable bank. It has stability. The Central Bank of Nigeria hopes that the merger will enable the business to benefit from economies of scale. For example, it would allow Providence Bank to share its managerial expertise in financial investment with Unity Bank. So there's merger. Merger simply means combination of two or more firms to become one, and that is merger. So the question says, with reference to extract A, explain the type of integration that would result from the merger between Unity Bank and Providence Bank. So the merger is classified as horizontal integration. Now, when we talk about horizontal integration, it simply means two firms are coming together at the same level of production. That is horizontal integration. So Unity Bank and Providence Bank provide services, financial services, and that means they are in the same level of production. So in this case, Unity Bank merged with a smaller bank, Providence Bank. And according to the case study, said Providence Bank has 120 branches cut across Nigeria, and Providence Bank has 23 branches cut across Nigeria. But both of them, Unity Bank has a large customer base. Providence Bank has stability in its finance. So they are coming together with different strengths. And those strengths would, their strength and weakness
Will be shared.
will be shared, and that means they will complement each other. That's what the word I want to use. They'll be able to complement each other. More large customer base, large financial stability. They will be complement there. So that's the answer for that question, 7B. Now look at 7C. They said for 7C, you can have this please. So for 7C, they said, with reference to extract A, analyze two likely benefits of the merger between Unity Bank and Providence Bank. Since it's integration, the answers are already there anyway. The merger between Unity and Providence Bank will bring about the following. One, bank survival. Without the merger, Unity Bank would shut down and won't be able to cover its costs. This is mainly due to the fact that Unity Bank has a total debt of 303.7 billion naira. One, good. Economies of scale. The merged firms' long-run average cost would move the firm towards its, what is this, NES or M?
Or is it MES margin? Um,
MES.
yeah,
What's MES?
it's what's it called? It's 1 second. Let me say it. It's like the minimum efficient scale.
MES, minimum efficiency scale, okay? So its MES makes it productive efficient as output rises. Well, there's economies of scale here. So the point about the merger brings about efficiency, merger brings about increasing customer base. And they also said here that the merger would allow Providence Bank to share its managerial expertise in financial investments, and that is managerial economies of scale. So, well, the merger will bring about financial economies of scale, it will bring about managerial economies of scale, it will bring about risk bearing also, because expansion would allow both Providence Bank and Unity Bank to look into other sectors that they can invest on to increase their financial stability. Okay, that's all you wrote. All right, let's see. Okay, it's 6 marks. Anyway. So we have question 7D. Did you do that? Okay. 7D. So for question 7D, they said 7D, 7D, 7D. Okay, okay. For question 7D, they said, with reference to extra B, examine two reasons why some businesses made significant losses. Illustrate your answer with an appropriate diagram. We need, okay. So according to the extra B, the government removed subsidies on diesel and petrol over, sorry, you said petrol over what? Over the what?
Even though.
Even though, okay. Even though the prices were already rising, businesses were unable to cover their average cost, which caused them to shut down. Well, there's a loss. Loss occurs if the average revenue is lower than the average cost. So if AC is greater than AR to bring about loss, that is the point. Hi, Mawar. How are you doing? So AC here is greater than the average cost of production is greater than the average revenue made based on the fact that government removes subsidy. Removal of subsidy, that was what the point is. The removal of subsidy increases the cost of production for firms. And if the cost of production increases for firms, they are likely to make a loss. So here you said businesses were unable to cover their costs, average costs, which caused them to shut down. Another factor is the lack of investment in infrastructure, poor quality of roads and telecommunications. However, the businesses are growing in Nigeria because their average revenue are greater than average cost. Also, in the long run, inflation and interest rates may fall, allowing more businesses to make profits. Well, the point here, yeah, for the average revenue, the average cost curve, for cost and revenue curve, this is it, because the average revenue curve, so the AC is greater than AR at different level of output, and because the AR is lower than the AC, that makes the firm to make a loss. And that is the point here. So it can be graphically represented as this. We have the price level. We have the price over here. We have P1, P2. We have the demand curve, MR, AR. I'm just show them to you. We have MR, AR. We have our marginal cost curve. We have our marginal cost. We have that. And we have our AC curve. So we have AC1, AC2. Right. We have AC1, AC2. And we have our marginal cost, our MC1, MC2. So loss implies that average cost is greater than average revenue, and average cost is also greater than marginal revenue. So that is our AC curve. Okay, so that's how the graph is. Let's see. So that's about the graph. And let me see here. It talked about losses. They said, however, some businesses are growing in Nigeria because their average revenue and average cost are increasing. So, government of Nigeria removed subsidy, and let me just be frank with you. Subsidy removal never stops Nigeria taking more debts. So the national debt of Nigeria is increasing. If you check it now, national debt of Nigeria has increased over time. So why did you remove the subsidy? If you are removing subsidy, it simply means you are cutting cost. And when you are cutting cost, it's about austerity, fiscal austerity, which simply means you want to ensure that national debt is reduced. But that is not the case here. God help Nigeria. So on that note, we end today's class. And for the viewers, I'll see you other time. Bye and cheers. Hold on, please.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And meeting.